And that was Don't Let Go by En Vogue. Welcome back to the Atlantis Morning Drive with me, your host with the most, Mr. Benny Blanko. And I am in the studio today, and I have been graced with the presence of a young, dynamic lady by the name of Amanda Clinton. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, Benny.
How are you?
I'm extremely well. Yourself?
Good. Fine. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Atlantis Morning Drive. Now, Amanda here is, like I said, a young, dynamic lady. She's been in Ghana. She's been around the world. She's got some views. She's got some opinions. And basically, she's trying to do something about it as well. She's put pen to paper as well. And she has written a book, which, from what I have read so far, seems to be, well... somewhat of a master. We said it should be put into a movie, didn't we?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let Amanda do the rest. So welcome, Amanda. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, I'm a fairly young lawyer in Ghana. I qualified in England and I'm now practicing here. And in my spare time, I basically decided to write a book about my experiences and a bit of fiction, a bit of this, a bit of that in London, particularly because of the whole legal scene and what I thought of it, etc. So yeah, and that's what the book is basically about. It's a fiction about a young lawyer who sells his soul for £6 million in influence behind the High Court. And then he has 20 years to live out his life, and then he basically gets more money, more power, more wealth than he bargained for. And then towards the end of his 20-year term, everything goes kind of wrong, and he ends up in a coma and has this amazing spiritual encounter just before he fights for his soul in the supernatural realm.
Wow, all right. So that's it. The book is called How I Sold My Soul. We'll talk about the book a little bit more in just a few moments. Now, okay, now it's just not the book that you do. Or you've written, am I lying? There's other stuff that you do here in Ghana, as well as being a lawyer. Give us a bit of an insight into some of the other things that you're doing as well.
Okay, well, basically, a couple of months ago, I set up a company called Our Father's House, which is like, building God's spiritual house by using various platforms, including, TV, YouTube, recordings, and just meeting up with people and, going out in the street and doing different things. And I basically attend this church, which is fantastic, but I just realized that, the church is also outside a physical structure. So I'm really just trying to do things in a 21st century kind of way, in a way that people will understand, get, and just engage in without feeling as if they're being preached at or preached to.
Okay, so a whole new view, shall we say, on, well, the way we look at religion.
Yes, I mean, I'm just trying to, I wouldn't go so far to say that I'm trying to repackage or rebrand anything, but I just think that, like when I finally got it in terms of the whole God thing, it was a huge revelation, and I wasn't necessarily, an active Christian before that. So if I could get it in the way I got it, I'd love as many people to get it without, and then enjoy the whole experience and enjoy, just hanging out with people and just having a spiritual encounter as well whilst they're doing that.
Good stuff. Now, there is a section in the book, I believe, I was going through, it says I Future.
Yes.
Could you kindly just touch on that slightly for me? I mean, that seems to be almost what we're revolving around. So just let us know, what is iFuture? What's your terminology of iFuture?
Okay, well, my character for the book is called Mr. Man, and he does all these like high-end cases, and he's legal counsel.
Sorry, can I just ask you a question? What's the character's name?
Mr. Man.
Mr. Man. Okay,
yes,
great.
because he was so dynamic, I just couldn't limit him to one particular name, so I called him Mr. Man.
Great. Okay, great.
And so Mr. Man is lead counsel for iFuture. And they're basically this revolutionary company that just wants to take over Microsoft, take over everything, and they do everything from brain chips to trying to do, they're in the process of doing future time travel, and they basically have more money than sense, and they get him to regulate all sorts of things in order to push forward their agenda, and they're very successful in most of their items, but it's sort of a subtle way of looking at the ethical side of where all our technology is taking us by putting it through the story of just all this technology, a lawyer who just happens to stumble upon it, and then seeing that technology play out, and both of the guys in iFuture, the owners, are actually pretty young. I think they're 21, 22, pretty geeky looking, but just got so much money, so much intelligence.
Very little sense.
And very little sense, essentially.
All right, great. All right, you know what? We're going to take a quick break and listen to some music. Me and Amanda are going to talk in the background. In fact, I've got a little story, which will be coming up in just a few moments. Although me and Amanda are talking right now, like, we're just met right here in the studio. We actually met a long time ago.
A very long time
which
ago.
Which I'm going to expose very shortly. We'll be back in just a few moments. Great stuff. Now, I told you I was going to expose Amanda. It's nothing scandalous, people. All of a sudden, we're like, ooh, we're going to get some dirt. No, there's no dirt. The funny thing was, my producer gave me a call. He said, you know what? We've got a young lady. We want to bring her on to the show. We're going to do an interview with her. She's done a book. She's really, dynamic. She's a lawyer. I was like, okay, great. Yeah, let's speak to her. And I actually called Amanda as well and spoke to her over the phone, and then we met.
We both didn't make the connection.
No, we didn't.
In terms of remembering.
No, at all. And then Amanda walked in, and I was like, this is Amanda. I know Amanda from like 10 years ago, man. We know each other from back when we were kids. So, yeah, welcome back.
Thank you for having me on the show.
No worries. Okay, now, let's talk about the book. Yeah. How I Sold My Soul, A Man's Journey. Yeah. Now, the title alone probably gives an insight into the story, but please let us know a little bit more.
Well, basically, the story is about this young lawyer who goes at a pub behind the High Court in London, and you just enter the scene, and he's basically selling his soul for £6 million and influence in a contract. And he has 20 years to live it out. He doesn't expect to receive a penny, and then the next day his bank account gets credited. And he just has the best 20 years in terms of money, power, influence, everything. And then towards the end, his life starts spiraling out of control because of a certain incident that happens. And you'll have to get the book at Des Amis or Melting Moments or on the street in order to find out what that incident was. But basically, he enters a coma and he starts having this spiritual encounter with a stranger and goes everywhere from, like London, Sicily, Jerusalem, and then makes a passionate speech towards the end of his life about how or why he didn't, in fact, sell his soul. So he's basically just trying to talk his way out of it. And then you as a reader are wondering if he's being sincere, if he's not, and then, it's just... But the story's sort of really multifaceted, and I'm so proud of this book because I really didn't know I had it in me to do it, and it would be great if you could just get out and get a copy.
Yeah. Now, we're actually going to... we're giving away a copy, right?
We're giving away, I think, 3 copies.
3 copies. Yes. Okay, we're giving away 3 copies of How I Sold My Soul, A Man's Journey. I will fire you with the question in a few moments, just before we finish up with Amanda, so you can know what the question is. And I will be giving you a number that you can call us on, text us with the correct answer. Excuse me. Wow, what happened? Like a frog just jumped down my throat. You have to text us with the correct answer, your name, where you're calling from, okay? That information is very important because I don't want to come on air and say, ta-da, you won, but I don't have a name for you. Doesn't make sense, right? So give me your name, your number, where you're calling from or where you're texting from, and you could be in a chance to win a copy of How I Sold My Soul, A Man's Journey. I've started reading it. It is good stuff. It will keep you very entertained and get you thinking about things.
And I'd just like to add that, even though the title is extremely dark, How I Sold My Soul, A Man's Journey, it is a fiction. It is nothing to do with the occult or satanic in terms of
correct, yes.
A manual on how to actually sell your soul. It's actually a Christian book. It's published under Our Father's House, Building God's Spiritual House, using a variety of platforms. And it's basically, ultimately a Christian book, but it's told through the eyes of a real-life character who eventually finds his way back to God. So it is not satanic. It's not occult. It's just, so if you send in your details, you're not sending your details to a manual of how to sell your soul. You're selling in details of how to save your soul, because ultimately, what does it benefit a man if he gains the world and loses his soul?
So, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Would you sell your soul?
Not even for £6 million.
Not even for £6 million. I know somebody who would probably do it for 6 Ghana cedis.
Well, anyone who does that, I'm sure, would do it not believing that they even have a soul.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. I go. That's terrible, isn't it? Anyway, do you know what we're going to do? We're going to listen to one more song, and when we get back, we're going to fire you with the question so you could be in the chance of winning a copy of this fantastic book. If you touch the dial, I will bite your finger. Yes, I will. Welcome back to the Morning Drive. I'm in the studio with Miss Amanda Clinton. She's been giving us the lowdown on her new book, How I Sold My Soul. And basically now, she's going to tell us what more we can expect from Miss Amanda Clinton in the up-and-coming future, aren't you?
Yeah, well, basically, as I mentioned, the book How I Sold My Soul, A Man's Journey, which is a fiction, is published under Our Father's House, which is my company. And Our Father's House is basically just doing different things, including, building God's spiritual house by using a variety of platforms. And one of those platforms is within the coming year, we're going to go, quite, big on TV, etc., etc. We hope to do like a weekly show, starring me, but above all, starring God. And within the next 2 weeks, I'm also going to be starting a book club to dealing with the spiritual chapters within the book, because I think Mr. Man's actual life is slightly too racy for book club standards, or for Ghanaian standards, perhaps. So we're basically going to be concentrating on the spiritual chapters in a book club. And if you want to find out more information about the book club, go to my Facebook page, which is Our Father's House Ghana Ministries, and within the next 2 weeks I'll be telling you about the location, the chapters we'll be covering, and what you'll do when you get there, basically.
All right. Thank you ever so much for coming in this morning. Now, we're going to give away 3 copies of your book. And
which is worth 20 Ghana cedis each, so not a bad price to pay.
Okay, now before we give them away again, or before we give them the question, where can they buy them?
You can buy the book in Afrikiko Complex, which is on Independence Avenue, a small cafe called Des Amis. Melting Moments. We hope soon to be throughout all the Melcombe branches within the coming month or so, but that's still outstanding. And we are also selling at strategic locations throughout Accra in the street. So yeah, just look out for it, basically. Look out for the book, and you can of course buy it on Kindle online at a slightly reduced price as well.
Okay. All right. Now, Amanda, what's the question?
The question is, what is the name of the character, my main character in the book, How I Sold My Soul? We've mentioned it a few times.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you a tiny bit of a clue, because I don't want to make it too difficult for you. It starts with Mr. Something. So the name of the main character for the book, How I Sold My Soul, A Man's Journey. If you get the correct answer, then you'll get a free copy of this book, which is worth 20 Ghana cedis and is hot.
Yeah, there you have it. All right, so send in your text messages. You could be in the chance of winning this wonderful book. Amanda, thank you ever so much for coming into the studio today and gracing us with your presence. It's been a wonderful pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, not at all. Anytime. All right, thank you so much. So that was Amanda Clinton, the author of the book, How I Sold My Soul. Get your copy out there, or send us a text so you can win yourself a